Hi, everybody. It's that time again. Sports Overnight America. We're a different kind of show, as you know. We'll talk the political side of sports, economic side of sports, all sides of sports. You can take part very simply by emailing us at sportsfred@aol.com, sportsfred@aol.com. Joined later by the guys, Mark Mancini, of course, and the world's worst sports handicapper and former kicker for the Rams, Art Source. But we're heard on Sirius 217, XM 203, all the apps, American Forces, gals and guys, you stay healthy, radio stations like KSHB 1400 in beautiful Las Vegas, Nevada, and of course, Sports Byline, Sports Map, word everywhere, coast to coast and around the world. So much to talk about in sports, some of it very, very sad. The loss this week of Maury Wills, who never made the Hall of Fame, and I predict that now he'll make the Hall of Fame. Maury Wills did not have a long major league career. He waited 9 years in the minors, but he changed the way the game is played. As a little kid in Los Angeles, everybody simultaneously said with me, go, 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 every time Maury got on first base. He stole 104 bases. And of course, that was the record until Lou Brock stole 118. But the point was, he changed baseball. That has to be enough to get him into the Hall of Fame, except it didn't. Now it will. Because now they'll vote for him in, even though he's passed at the age of 89. Anyways, a very sad note in Southern California, and I think around the baseball world and the sports world in general, because having met Maury a few times, he was a very nice man, and again, he changed the game of baseball. All right, Robert Sarver, changing things. He's now decided he will sell the Phoenix Suns and the Phoenix Mercury after getting caught in all kinds of executive problems with people that work for him. And I guess that's the way the world goes now, where you get some power, you take control, and you think you can get away with it. Boston Celtics will not have Coach Ucla this year, suspended for the entire season for basically the same thing, an affair, consensual affair with somebody in the organization. After looking into it, the Celtics have decided that that's enough for Ucla for this year. And, of course, it's going to cost him a lot of money. We can discuss that at sportsfred at AOL.com, sportsfred@AOL.com. It's something interesting. I find the Pac-12 wrote a letter to the University of California Board of Regents saying, the way UCLA treated us by not telling us they were leaving for the Big Ten has cost us a lot, millions of dollars. There's a possibility that UCLA might have to pay University of California, Berkeley, a major chunk of change for not telling the UC Board of Regents that they were leaving and not telling Cal, of course, they were leaving, and that was the rule. Governor Newsom said he's going to do something. I'd like to see it. Haven't seen it so far. You'll see and hear the rest of this show right now on Sports Overnight America. Hey, welcome back, everybody. Sports Overnight America. I'm Fred. You could email us, sportsfred@aol.com, sportsfred@aol.com. The guys are now with us. Mark Mancini, the world's worst sports handicapper. Art Source from Pennsylvania. He runs Galaxy Sports. He also kicked for USC and the Rams. And on Thursday night football this week, we saw Cleveland come back to beat Pittsburgh 29-17. And Stephen A. Smith on Friday morning indicated that the Steelers should forget Trubisky and go to Kenny Pickett. Now, Mark, you are a Steelers fan like forever. What do you think?
Well, first of all, anytime I hear Stephen A. Smith talk, he's very, wishy-washy, not consistent. So I don't put much in what he says. But I will tell you, it's nice to see Tomlin sticking by Trubisky. That game wasn't lost on Trubisky. It was lost because the offense just couldn't muster up stuff. And, the onside kick at the end and stuff. It's 3 games in. I find it very funny with media guys and stuff that come in here and basically stand there and say that a season's lost in 3 games. Let's let this thing shake out 7 games and figure out where it is. But I'm taking receipts. I'll take one on Stephen A. Smith.
Art Source, both you and I had the over in the game, so we were victorious. But your comments about Stephen A. Smith's comments?
Again, I think it's a little premature to toss in the towel on Mitch Trubisky, or Mitchell Trubisky, as he's like to be known. I got to believe, looking at that division, everybody's got a loss now. Nobody's running away with things. Cincinnati's on the verge of possibly being 0-3 if the Jets can hang one on them Sunday. Baltimore's got to go to New England. They're 1-1. Cleveland's, I guess they're 2-1, but they're shaky 2-1. I mean, they're not playing. They're not world beaters at this point in time. So I think patience pays out. Let's see what happens when we get into mid-October. If the Steelers and Matt Canada, who I'm not a big fan of as their offensive coordinator, I personally think they need to vertically challenge the field. They've got speed. They've got Pickens. They've got, Deontay Johnson. They've got the ability to get the ball down the field, yet they want to dink and dunk. And, I love Najee Harris. I thought Warren came in last night and showed some spark. Number 30, he did have a fumble, but, Deontay Johnson was there. But, again, we pretty much called that game, Fred. I mean, there's not going to be a lot of scoring. Jacoby Brissett is a caretaker. He did a good job. It's going to be interesting to see what happens in the AFC North, because it's wide open, in my opinion.
All right, that's on Thursday night. Back to Monday night, ESPN and ABC did something that they have to think twice about it. Folks, if you were alive on Monday night, one of the games started at 4:15 Pacific, the other game 5:30 Pacific, 7:30 in the East, 8:30 Eastern time. Made no sense whatsoever. I have no conception of why they did it. You couldn't really pay attention to both games or either. Now, I know technically people can split the screen. I can't do it with DirecTV. I'm sure it can be done. I don't know how to do it. I don't know how many people out there can do it. Now, Art Source, I know you're not too technical, but your wife is. Were you able to watch both games simultaneously on a split screen?
I'll tell you, they got lucky. They had two blowouts. And, I got to watch the first half of the Buffalo game, and that basically was over at halftime. So then I switched over to the Eagles. Very impressed with this Eagle ball club. The contribution that A.J. Brown's given them, the running game. I mean, Nick Sirianni was looked at early last year when in his rookie year as kind of a joke. And all of a sudden, this lifelong kid that's father was a high school coach in Connecticut, he's showing me a lot of moxie. The front office seems to get him the guys they need. I don't know what the NFL was thinking with this, this doubleheader. I mean, just make it a doubleheader. Start one game at 4:00 and start the next game at 7:00. If the fans want to watch the game, they're going to watch the game. I just don't understand why you want to cross over ABC on ESPN, ESPN on ABC. Plus, I was upset that there was no Manning telecast. That's the best part of Monday Night Football, is listening to Eli and Peyton do their thing, because they are really amazing. You have two ex-quarterbacks, all-pro Super Bowl quarterbacks, and I love the way they break the football game down. And, I'm just happy that we didn't have to deal with Nathaniel Hackett on Monday night.
The logic, of course, is that in the West, people work till 5, so they want to start it as late as possible in the West. And in the East, people go to sleep, so they want to start as early as possible in the East.
So they tried to slip them both in the prime time, kind of. Is that what you're saying?
I mean, but in the bottom line is, as Art said, 4 and 7, tape the first part and try to stay up for the second, or tape it. Don't screw both games up by doing what you want to. Art made a good point. The first game was such a blowout so early. Maybe you just watch the second game. But what if it was a 14-13 game or a close game? Then, of course, the whole thing is different. Mark, I don't know which game you watched on Monday night. Do you have an opinion, though, on starting the second game midway in the first game?
Well, I think common sense is learned at home. It's not learned in school, and Roger Goodell still hasn't learned this. If I'm running the NFL, I would have put that thing on Saturday night.
So you're saying that a senator's son that went to Wharton can't figure out what to do?
No,
But he's
in the
making
Rob.
$50 million a year. How can he not know what he's
He
doing?
went to the same school Rob Manfred went to. He can't figure it out. But I mean, I don't understand it either.
Can't figure out you.
Mark, ESPN buys the right for one Monday night game, except once a year they put two. So they've got the rights to do it on Monday night. They're not switching to Saturday night against. I don't even know if legally you can do it against college football during the regular season. I think you have to wait till December to even televise on a Saturday if you're the National Football League. At least that used to be the rule. I'm not sure it is now. But, Mark, so they have to be on Monday night. Okay, you're the executive at ESPN. What times would you have started that game?
I would have put it on a Saturday night.
I'm just telling you, you can't. Legally, you can't against college. Okay, that's illegal. So you bought Monday night. What times would you start the games?
Well, then you'd have to go earlier. You'd have to do it much earlier if so you wouldn't coexist with that second game.
But my point is, people here in Southern California or the West Coast, Pacific time, get home. Let's say their work ends at 4:30 or 5. They don't get home till 5 or 5:30. Well, so you can't start it too early. And
remember the old days, guys. Monday Night Football came on at 9:00, and then they realized that was a little late for the East. And now baseball's fallen into that same trap with these playoff games, always at night. Playoff games in September and October are made to be played in the afternoon. Our school teachers, when we were all in school, guys, they would, if we were good boys and girls that day, they would actually put the game on TV for us at the end of the day, like fifth period, sixth period. Go ahead.
How do you explain, Fred, how many people watch Amazon? I don't have Amazon. I know a lot of my friends don't have it. How many people can watch these games on Thursday night? I think the NFL sold its soul.
No, what Amazon did is paid a bundle. They think in the long run, enough people will pay the $15 a month or whatever it costs. I think I have it.
$15.95. I paid for it today.
I think it's $15.95 a month, but it's worth it to me from the point of view. I do like medicines or vitamins. I don't really need. I'd rather not have to drive to the drugstore. I'd rather have them delivered. So that's part of it. The other part of it is they also run some very fine shows. On top of it all, now they're going to get the sports fans. So in the long run, Mark, I think Bezos does.
Have you seen Madame Maisel yet?
Oh, it's my favorite.
Shalhoub?
It's my
God,
favorite.
Is it awesome? I imagine your wife being involved with
how about
fashion.
Apple? Don't you think Apple should have been involved in it because they do the Friday night baseball, and I could sit there and watch that.
Apple probably is going to end up with the Sunday ticket from DirecTV. We're going to take a break. We're going to play some Barron Sports Trivia. Come back with the guys right after this. Sports Overnight America. Hey, folks, it's that time. Sports Overnight America and Barron Sports Trivia. Started with my cousins Lisa and Andy back east, and I think you guys have enjoyed it based on your emails. And we try to prove what these guys know or don't know as far as sports trivia is concerned. And Mark, are you ready for the first question?
I'm always ready for it, since you nicknamed me the world's worst handicapper.
Now, Art, don't intervene. I want Mark to keep guessing here. I think you might. No, because I think Art's old enough at 125. He might know this.
This might go to the next show if I keep on guessing.
All right, Mark, what was Babe Ruth's real first name?
Oh, shoot. What was his first name? Carl?
Carl Hubble? Famous L.A. newscaster had the same first name.
Who?
Very, very famous L.A.
From
newscaster.
the desert to the sea to all of Southern California.
Jerry Dumpy.
Jerry. You think his name was Jerry Ruth? Is that right?
Yeah.
George Putnam, Herman Ruth.
I knew the old guy Art would know it. Yeah, George Herman Babe Ruth. Art, what are you taking this evening legally to stay up and answer these questions very, very late in Pennsylvania?
Nuriva. It absolutely. This is a game changer. I've been doing the Prevagen, the Focus Factor, the stuff that keeps you up late at night for energy and all that. But I got to tell you, the Asian ginseng coupled with the Nariva just seems to be the perfect balance. You know, I'm feeling really spry, hitting the golf ball good. I mean, you know, just being on terra firma at 125, 126 is a beautiful thing.
That's right. He's 126 2 weeks ago. I forgot that. Okay. Number 2, Barron Sports Trivia. This one's for Art. What hurler in the history of the major leagues, most straight years leading the league, his league, in Ks and strikeouts? Which pitcher? I'll give you a hint. Eight straight years he led his league in strikeouts.
When we talk strikeouts, I got to think of 2 people, Sandy Koufax or Nolan Ryan. But knowing that you're in the Wayback Machine today, I got to maybe think Walter Johnson might be in there as well. But so I'm going to go ahead and step out and know that you're a Dodger fan and you love Sandy Koufax. I'm going with Sandy Koufax.
Well, you know, he didn't have more than 6 great years from 59 to 65.
All right, so I'm going to go with Nolan Ryan instead.
He would have had a hard shot in doing it 8 straight times. Mark, you're younger, but which hurler actually won the strikeout in his league 8 consecutive times?
Well, I think it would be Randy Johnson. Randy Johnson would be up there, man.
Randy Johnson threw as hard as almost anybody, but probably did not throw as hard as somebody that Art mentioned, but got off it. Walter Johnson. See, yep. Art, you were bluffed off it. Now, let's play.
I know, because you're good at these questions. I know how you do it. Walter Johnson, the big train, I've heard stories. You know, he went to Fullerton High School, and I've heard stories about old guys that I met when I was a kid that told me stories about what their dad said about him. And, you know, they said this guy touched, 95, 98 miles an hour in an era where guys were throwing 85. So, the big train was the real McCoy, man.
See, I never got to see him, but to go against a Nolan Ryan, a Randy Johnson, a Goose Gossage, these guys brought heat, and they were consistent.
Even Tommy Seaver.
Yeah, Seaver was up there, but he didn't bring the heat. I think Ryan was unbelievable.
No, they threw hard, but most people think
J.R. Richard,
Bob Feller.
Sure, but this guy, Walter Johnson, the big train, probably threw as hard as anybody. All right, Mario, Mark, your turn. Which major league team has the all-time record for most homers in a season? One season.
It's very recent, by the way.
I would have to say would that be the 89 Oakland A's?
Why would you say the 89 Oakland? Why? Tell me why.
Well, they had McGuire, Canseco. They had some bats in that lineup.
Yes, they did.
It could be the 76 Cincinnati Reds, who I think was the best team I've ever seen, top to bottom, with Foster, Geronimo.
That was a small ballpark, but you were incorrect. Art, most
happened last year at Toronto Blue Jays.
I'll give you a hint. Again, if it changed from last year, then the book, was made before that. It had to do with a small ballpark.
Small ballpark. I got to go with either Fenway Park or Wrigley Field.
Not the Queen. Not the Queen.
Oh, Cincinnati. Okay, so there's a Cincinnati Reds somewhere. Baltimore?
Not the Queen Dome.
Oh, the Kingdom. Okay, Seattle. Seattle with that power hitting team that had Buhner and Griffey. But Fred, I'm going to tell you, check your numbers on this. Yeah. Seattle set the record last year for most home runs in a season.
You mean Toronto? You're saying?
Yeah, Toronto.
They might have written up till then. The Seattle Mariners, as Art indicated, 1997, 264. That's a home run.
I remember kicking field goals in that Kingdom, guys. And I'll tell you what, the ball traveled very well. It was really weird.
The Seattle Mariners to the 76 Reds, regardless if they hit 264 home runs.
I'm going to throw a question out just for the kicks because Mark mentioned something. I'm going to throw it out. This will be for Art. Art first. First ball player, and I'm not sure if anybody's done it since, to tell you the truth. This is my question. 40 homers, 40 stolen bases in the same season. Art, what do you think?
First ball player to ever do that. Damn.
I don't know if somebody's done it since, but this is not an old one. This was something in the sort of recent.
Oh, I got this one. I think I got it.
Hang on.
I got it.
Let's
I
see
know where you're going, Fred.
Art?
He knows where we're going, huh? God almighty. I'm thinking of young guys right now that had 40 and 40. Boom, boom.
Well, not this young.
No.
But not in the Walter Johnson generation.
I'm going to go with Willie Mays then.
Willie, the say hey kid. Is that right, Mark Mancini?
No, it isn't. Show me the money. It's Jose Canseco.
See, now, Mark does not take the pills, but he got the one right. And he knew and he knew that since he mentioned the 1989 Oakland A's.
I knew where you were going, Fred. That was the clue.
Fred was going to come up with that question.
I would have never thought that Jose would have had 40 stolen bases. I mean, the guy could bomb it. I mean, no doubt about it. But yeah,
Hall of Fame for Jose.
No, him and Sosa are going to be pressing their nose against the window with Pete Rose.
All right,
and Roger Clemens and Barry Bonds as well, from the way it looks.
All right, we're going to do a fifth question. This one's good here. Cool. Mark, you got the last one right. I don't think you're going to get two in a row. Let's see. Which player was named the most times to an all-star club? Which player was named the most times to his league's all-star club? Who might that have been? Mark Mancini, the world's worst handicapper.
God, I think I know.
Who played the longest?
Played a long time.
I want to say Joe Morgan, or the other one could be. Oh shoot! Who is the other one? Mike Schmidt.
Mike Schmidt or Joe Morgan? Which one?
Neither.
I'd have to say.
Concentrate. Concentrate.
I'd have to say Joe Morgan.
Joe Morgan. Art, is that correct?
I don't think so, Fred.
Show me the money.
Who do you think it might be?
I remember at one time it was Willie Mays. Okay. But I'm wondering if Pete Rose didn't usurp that record along the way. So I'm going to go with Pete Rose on this one.
Fosse says no. The late catcher Fosse said no.
Fosse said no. The old Oakland A's golden-voiced man. I loved him. Okay, so it wasn't Pete Rose. It wasn't. Then it had to be Hank Aaron.
21 times he was named to the All-Star teams. Henry, Hammer, and Hank Aaron.
And I love what you said last night on the show, Fred. How much class would that have been if Barry Bonds, when he hit number 756 or 755, retired, and said, you know what? Henry Aaron deserves this record.
I must say, I've been doing these shows for a long time. Only one guy ever didn't show up twice. His name was Barry Bonds. So I have something against him. But my point was, he wasn't well liked. He isn't well liked by a lot of the media.
You're not the only writer and broadcaster that feels that way, by the way.
But you know what?
Hang on. All he had to do at 755 to turn everything around is retire then. He only had a few games left in the season, and he went on to get to 762. Congratulations. But if he had stopped at 755, even Fred would have been on his side. Even Art
could have said, my wrist is a little sore, or whatever. You know
what, Fred and Artie. I always thought, and I've talked it over with some guys. I've always thought Barry Bonds was one of the best baseball players I've ever seen. But you know what? And I know he's been dismayed sometimes and everything, but I'm not a Yankee fan. But to hear Aaron Judge say that he's chasing him down to break the all-time record, he's given a tribute, and maybe it's because Aaron Judge grew up in San Francisco, but still, I think that's nice of Aaron Judge to pay a little homage to Barry Bonds.
All right, we're going to come back now on Sports Overnight America with Ralph Tyko. We're going to talk about his favorite team, the New York Mets. Then we'll come back with the guys, all straight away on Sports Overnight America. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to Sports Overnight America. I am Fred. You can email us, sportsfred@aol.com. We've had Ralph Tyko on a few times on this show, many times on this show. He's an author, does a podcast. The book he's written, Comfortably Zoned, the Nevada Pine Tar. Nobody could come up with a name like that except Ralph Tyko. Ralph, welcome to the show.
And George Brett isn't even in the book.
And George Brett isn't even in the book. Rumors have it it's selling pretty well.
It is selling, and I'm grateful for the exposure that your program has provided, and I want to thank you for that.
Well, I want to thank you for the book, and let's talk. You were brought up in New York. Most of this book is, New York oriented, but you were brought up in New York and a Mets fan, even though you live in San Francisco now. Let's talk. I think there are 3 teams in the National League who could make it to the World Series. I think the Mets are one, the Braves are one, the Dodgers are one. The Mets got Scherzer back. He only did was 6 innings of no-hit ball, first time back. How far can the Mets go? What are your thoughts about the Mets heading into the playoffs?
Well, ordinarily, I'd be incredibly excited. They did make the playoffs, and it's the first time in 6 years. But they've had a rash of injuries in the past 2 or 3 days that scare me. And Sterling Marte is not progressing quite as fast as I would have liked. He's arguably, he and McNeil are arguably the most valuable Mets. And a terrific gain from Oakland, right across the bay from where I live in Alameda, and the Mets are in to play Oakland, and I'm afraid that the baseball gods are going to get them because the Mets have Bassett and Marte and Canna, who have helped them immensely, and in a series that they are expected to win, must win. Can the baseball gods be messing with this old Met fan? Probably not, but we'll see.
Explain something to me about the Mets. They lead the world in getting hit by pitch. Okay, I've seen them throw back at the team that hits their guys, so that's not the problem. Why is it that they lead by a mile in getting hit by a pitch in the major leagues?
Well, that's a very good question. And if I watch every game and every time someone's hit, Buck Showalter stands there stoically and I think what he's doing. I can't answer the question why, if not just jealousy for unlimited amount of funds that Steve Cohen provides. And that's for a Met fan who had the Wilpons for all these years. And I'm just delighted with that. Although I don't think it would be in the baseball gods' interest, Met fans, Yankee fans, if Judge doesn't stay in New York with the Yankees, it's really a sin. He has no business. The contract he's offered, he has no business going across town. And as a Met fan, I would resent that they couldn't win without him. But I get off the subject. Why? I think Showalter doesn't want to brawl, and because of the risk of injuries. And I think other teams know that. could be that. Again, the jealousy of the unlimited funds that the Mets can spend. Although the more they spend, the more it helps baseball players. They go up accordingly. So I hope that answers your question, or I hope I could have avoided that and sounded like I know what I'm talking about.
Ralph Tyko with us on Sports Overnight America. Let's talk about the club in San Francisco. The Giants, last time I checked, they won 107 last year. Hardly even close this time around. Everything goes wrong. Last year, it seemed they played pretty good defense. This year, their defense is horrible. Can you add it all up? What's going on? Why are the Giants just a very bad team?
Well, the infield, Longoria's been hurt, and Crawford's been hurt. Crawford is future Hall of Famer. That guy is terrific. They lost Posey, and age caught up with them, and it's the general manager or the owners for not seeing that. It was obvious. I think we talked about that last time we were on. Kapler made a very critical mistake in his career by not. I respect him for it, and I think it's terrific, but not wanting to go out for the national anthem because he thinks what's been going on is inhumane. And that's all fine and good for humanity, but can he lead a team of rednecks, any team of rednecks? And sports is very, very patriotic and this, that, and the other thing. I know what they've done to Colin Kaepernick along the same lines, and I wouldn't be surprised if that affected them. That's just a personal opinion. And when he gets fired,
let me interrupt you. They weren't playing very well before he took that stand.
No, they weren't. But at the same time, they were creeping back to 500, and the bottom fell out. When they were that far down, creeping back to 500 was good. I think they got within a game or two. I was an old New York Giant fan, and the black and orange doesn't die in me. I didn't accept much because I'm a Met fan primarily. When the Giants won 3 in a row, I wasn't going clapping all over the place and wearing a Giant cap. But especially when they played the Dodgers, there's something that it brings out in me. One of my podcast guests was Brian Johnson, who hit a very special home run for the Giants against the Dodgers. And that was a thrill for me. So I'm the Walter Mitty kind of guy, but I'm a fan who knows just enough to make it not all that much fun.
All right, Ralph, let me interrupt again. You mentioned Brandon Crawford's a future Hall of Famer. Now, I've been a UCLA everything fan since the age of 5. Brandon Crawford in and Maury Wills not in? Explain that.
Well, boy, that's a very good question because Maury Wills is my favorite ball player of all time. And I think I worked for Topps Baseball Cards, signing players to contracts. Well, if Maury Wills hadn't held out and not signed that contract, I wouldn't have had 15 years of paid vacation being Walter Mitty and meeting all these guys. And so I love the guy. And I love that in 1962, the year he stole 104 bases, it was the Giants that won that pennant. in a 3-game playoff.
Larry Burbright, Stan Williams, leave me alone. I can't forget.
Oh, wow. I'll bet you can't. But by the same token, the Mets acquired Larry Burbright and Tim Hawkins for their best relief pitcher, a guy who was terrific, Bob Miller, the righty, who was very solid for the Dodgers. And yes. I can't forget that. So isn't baseball a great game?
Well, it was until Rob Manfred took over. Folks, we're talking to Ralph Tyko. Ralph Zig Tyko has written Comfortably Zoned to Nevada Pine Tar, and he also does podcasts almost every single day. And you can email us at sportsfred@aol.com, sportsfred@aol.com. All right, let's get down to it.
And let me just say my podcast, every 3,000 offerings, 10 years of doing this, they're all archived on YouTube. So if you go to YouTube and you just put in Comfortably Zoned, every one of them, all my interviews, I've had like 3,000. I'm celebrating 10 years doing this, and I'm really psyched. I'm also saddened. The network that I created lost 2 people, one of whom wrote the foreword on my book. Mark Littell just passed away in the past few weeks. He was a great guy. He was the guy I met with Topps 28 years ago, and he would look you in the eye. That's the kind of guy that Mark Littell was. And he would not big league you as a human being just because he happened to play baseball. And Ronnie Rabinovich, I think we might have talked about him passing last time I was on. That took so much out of me personally, and the network. Those 2 guys, it's been a rough couple of months.
Yeah, it's been a horrible month here in Southern California and around the sports realm. No question about that. In our last minute or so, okay, I'm putting Ralph Zig Tyko, who's been involved in baseball probably since the age of 5, like I have. Is it going to be the Braves, the Dodgers, or the Mets who make it out of the National League, or maybe the Cardinals? What do you think?
Well, it's very hard to be when one has a horse in the race, so to speak. It's very, very hard for a commentator to be totally objective. So I won't.
Wait a minute. I'm a Dodger fan. I'm a Dodger fan. I think the Braves are going to win again. Okay, so now your turn.
Okay, well, I'm a Met fan. I think the Mets are going to win. But then again, you're a better person than I am, Fred Wallin. So,
no, I just looked at. I've looked at that starting staff for the young starting staff for the Braves, and I'm saying to myself, as good as the Mets starters are, they're solid as the Dodgers starting staff might be, and you got the best closer in Diaz. I just have a hunch.
Right, I was going to get to that. That is a biggie, and I'll ask you. Can Diaz be MVP? Can a relief pitcher be MVP in today's day and age?
He could be, but
and I'll ask you I think my final question.
Most people are thinking go Schmidt. And again, as rookie of the year, it's interesting too. Would it be the Braves' young rookie starting pitcher, or would it be Michael Harris, their fine center fielder? It could be one or the other. Ralph, we got to go. This has been fun. Comfortably Zoned to Nevada Pine Tar. Folks, you can pick it up at Amazon, major bookstores everywhere. Ralph will do this again. Thank you for appearing on Sports Overnight America.
Please send, and thank you for your friendship.
Hey, everybody, it's that time again. We continue with Sports Overnight America. Thank you, Ralph Tyko, Ralph Zig Tyko. The book is Comfortably Zoned in Nevada Pine Tar, major bookstores, Amazon.com. Everything about New York sports and more than that, too. All right, Mark, I'm going to start with you. This week, we lost one of my favorites growing up, Go-Go, Maury Wills. Every time he got to first base, people in LA said go-go. And he went a lot, and he stole 104 bases, setting the all-time record at that point. Did Maury Wills, Mark, deserve to be in the Hall of Fame?
I think he did. I mean, he wasn't ranked up there. I didn't get to see him play, but he wasn't ranked up there with some of the top. I mean, Lou Brock was my man for stolen bases. But, yeah, I think he deserves to be in the Hall of Fame. I really do. I think, there's some guys that are left out that belong in it, and there's some guys that are in there that I don't think belong in it, but that's an opinion. But, yeah, I think he belongs in it.
All right, Art, Maury Wills, yay or nay? And now, of course, he'll make it into the Hall of Fame after he's dead. But
always posthumously, they put these guys in it. It drives me crazy. And luckily Bump and the kids will be able to see it, and his wife. But, yes, he's a Hall of Fame player. He 3-time world champion with the Los Angeles Dodgers, 280 career average, played shortstop, 62 NL MVP. Always great to the game of baseball, had his ups and downs in life like a lot of us have, but he battled hard. Never met anybody that said a negative thing about Maury Wills. I got to say that. I was privileged to play a little golf with him in San Clemente in the 80s and 90s, and he was always just a charming prince of a man, and we're going to miss him. And I got to say this. As a kid, I loved watching him play shortstop.
Very quickly, Ralph Tyko just indicated that his Giant shortstop, my UCLA shortstop, Brandon Crawford, should be in the Hall of Fame. I don't think so, Art. Very quickly, yay or nay?
I'm going to have to go no on that one. I think he's a great ball player, though.
Mark, Brandon Crawford, shortstop, San Francisco Giants, yay or nay, Hall of Fame?
I think he has a better chance to get into SAG and be an actor than get in the Hall of Fame.
Although, they did have 3 world championships while he played shortstop. So
sure
that, and the same thing goes for Buster Posey. So, I don't know what the criterion is anymore.
When
I was growing up in Little League, we had the All-Stars and we had the No-Stars, which were the next guys in line. I think Brandon Crawford is a very solid No-Star, but not a Hall of Famer in
Chris
my
Spire and Johnny Lee LeMaster. Did I hear those 2 names somewhere?
Johnny LeMaster.
Mark, thank you very much. Art, thank you very much. Mario, thank you for putting the show together, and we'll see you around the corner right here on Sports Overnight America.